Bill Cosby, a once renowned name, is no longer a symbol of comedy or television. The day he was arrested marked an unprecedented turning point in the history of entertainment and justice. But behind that arrest lies a haunting story, a chilling truth revealed by Pamela Warner, a resilient mother who has tirelessly fought to expose the dark secrets surrounding the tragic death of her son Malcolm. This isn't just a case. It's a journey that uncovers a hidden web of crime where power and silence were broken by the strength and persistence of a mother seeking justice. Do you believe this story holds truth and that there are still many unanswered questions waiting to be revealed? If so, type 1 in the comments. If you're unsure or don't believe it, drop a 0. Be sure to watch the video all the way through, hit the like button if you find it valuable, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel to help us keep uncovering the stories that need to be heard. He should have lived long enough to walk his little girl down the aisle, her white dress glowing as he proudly gave her away, leaving the moment with a legendary smile that would live forever in everyone's hearts. But Malcolm-Jamal Warner's story ended in cold, suffocating silence, a heavy pause that felt permanent, until now. That silence was abruptly and unexpectedly broken by the trembling voice of a grieving mother and a hidden USB drive that had never come to light. Pamela Warner doesn't step into the spotlight like a celebrity. She stands as a mother carrying a truth so heavy it could crush anyone. Her eyes are tired, swollen from years of tears. Her hands tremble like they've been through a storm. Yet in them, she holds evidence powerful enough to rewrite everything. Her voice may shake, but her words cut deep. And in that moment, the man once thought to be untouchable is suddenly in handcuffs. Bill Cosby is no longer a free man. He now stands. What once were whispers about Malcolm's death being just an accident have now become direct accusations. The room fell into a heavy silence as Pamela broke down in tears. No mother should ever have to say these words he didn't drown. He was drowned by power, by silence, and by a system that shields abusers while burying the truth. The documents have been verified. The footage and hard evidence are real, and the pain in every word she spoke, undeniable. This is a truth that cannot be manufactured. Inside that USB was a file the public had never seen, like a punch to the gut, and a slip of paper bearing the chilling words, "Let the water wash it away." They thought they could erase Malcolm's name, like just another number in a forgotten report. But they didn't count on the fire still burning in a mother's heart. Now, the very system that tried to bury this story is being dragged into the light for the world to see. This isn't just a scandal, it's a wound reopened by a call to stand up and fight. And with Cosby's arrest, the storm has only just begun. This is the first chapter. Malcolm's final message never wanted to be silenced. He left behind not only a memory, but also a mission. That intense mission now resonates on every device from phones to TVs across the country. No one realized this storm was forming until it erupted. Outside the federal courthouse in Los Angeles, the streets were illuminated by flashing camera lights. Reporters shouted while fans stood with tears in their eyes. A black SUV slowly moved forward, the atmosphere thick and suffocating as the door swung open. Bill Cosby stepped out, his face cold, his gaze sharp, surrounded by federal agents, his hands tightly cuffed. This is not a Hollywood scene. This is not a dream you can wake up from. This is reality. At that moment, every whisper in the dark, every rumor and secret conversation was given a name, a face, a story. No one could believe it had come to this, until Pamela Warner spoke up to reveal the truth. He killed my son. Her voice was not edited or polished before the camera. It was raw, cracked, ignited by pain like a weapon. She did not come to seek revenge, but to pull justice out of the shadows. Not just for Malcolm, but for all those silenced behind fake smiles and non-disclosure agreements in Hollywood. And now the silence has shattered. The world remembers Malcolm-Jamal Warner as the heartbeat of a generation. The young man whom millions loved and watched grow up as Theo Huxtable, a man whose laughter echoed through living rooms from coast to coast. But on July 20th, 2025, that laughter was extinguished. The official report stated that he drowned while vacationing in Costa Rica, but the truth is no longer that it is even completely different. They say he was walking alone on the beach with no signs of struggle, no witnesses, no explanation. The case was closed. At least that is what they want everyone to believe. But mothers never forget. They do not forget their child's last words in the call. They do not forget the anxiety hidden in those words. They do not forget the phrase that always makes their hearts ache. If anything happens to me, Mom, please tell the whole world that I am not lying. From that moment on, Pamela Warner never forgot that warning. She could never forget because deep down, she knew the official story was a lie from the very beginning. Then one day, while searching carefully in the lining of Malcolm's old coat, she discovered something. An envelope cleverly sewn and hidden in the fabric, like a dangerous treasure that could not be revealed. Inside was a USB drive. And on it, the familiar handwriting of Malcolm wrote 5 chilling words, "In case anything happens to me." Her hands trembled as she plugged the USB into the laptop. The files downloaded and the world within her suddenly collapsed in an instant. This was not just data. It was a digital graveyard filled with secrets, classified memos, late-night call logs, hidden recordings, money transfers like bribes, and tightly secured contracts signed by powerful figures capable of crushing anyone who dared to speak out. In the midst of that darkness, a terrifying folder named Shadow Network appeared. When opened, each document, each note repeated a name circled and highlighted like an alarm bell: Bill Cosby. At first, Pamela couldn't make the connection. Why would a person celebrated as an American television icon be linked to her son's death? Then she found a raw, unedited video. Malcolm sat alone, his tired eyes, pale skin, and voice heavy with fear. "If you are watching this, it means I didn't make it, or someone has arranged for me not to survive." He spoke of a hidden, silent, and ruthless mechanism, not only aimed at concealing crimes, but also at erasing those who know too much. That warning would haunt her forever. They not only force you into silence, but also erase you. They don't stop at taking your life. They rewrite it so perfectly that no one questions why. Pamela collapsed, weighed down by what she had just heard. At that moment, she knew this was not an accident during the vacation. Her son had been targeted and erased. Now she holds clear evidence that could topple the entire system. Without hesitation, she takes the USB drive, all the documents and recordings, to the Department of Justice. Weeks pass in silence with no calls, no news. Then one night her phone lights up. An unknown number texts, "Check the news." Her stomach tightens as she turns on the TV. On every channel, every station, the bright red headline reads, "The Department of Justice confirms a federal investigation into the death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner." But what shocks social media even more is that Bill Cosby is officially being investigated in connection with the case. In just 48 hours, a federal arrest warrant was issued. Within 72 hours, Bill Cosby was arrested. Pamela sat silently in the living room, her eyes glued to the TV screen. There were no cheers or victory speeches, only silent tears streaming down. After years of being ignored, the truth about her son was finally being heard. Outside the courthouse, the streets resembled a living memorial. Flickering candles illuminated the dark night, murals adorned the bricks, and posters were held high. But the most striking thing is the sign that reads, "He didn't drown. He was killed." The content of the USB began to spread widely. Malcolm's final videos erupted on social media like a tidal wave. Along with that, a series of whistleblowers, former crew members, insiders, and even a late-night show producer bravely stepped forward to share the truth. A leaked voicemail sent chills across the nation. We were instructed not to touch his footage. "We have to make it disappear," the voice said, "but he knows he has evidence, and he is preparing to go public." Pamela Warner was no longer just a grieving mother. She became the unshakable symbol of a movement. Every headline mentioned her name. Every interview echoed her words. And one phrase became a resounding slogan across the country. "He didn't just die. He was erased. I will not stop until the whole world knows the culprit." The whole world is watching every moment as the very Hollywood machine, which once silenced the victims, now faces attacks from all sides. At the center of this storm is the man once dubbed the Father of America, now bearing a title darker than any PR stunt could erase. Cosby's legal team is in turmoil. Lawyers are struggling, PR firms are interrupting reporters, and powerful executives are disappearing into the shadows. His social media presence vanished overnight. But the damage is done. The records are spreading everywhere. The truth has been exposed, and the fortress that sheltered the predators for decades has been shattered by a mother who refuses to bow down. They thought that killing the messenger would bury the message. But Pamela not only keeps the truth about her son alive, she turns it into a wildfire that tears apart the empire of lies. Cosby may have been arrested, but Malcolm's story continues to be revealed more fiercely than ever. They hope Pamela will fade into obscurity, so the outrage will be just a fleeting headline. But it was not just a fleeting noise. It was the scream of a mother resonating enough to shake the Hollywood Golden Tower. Beneath that scream were fierce pieces of evidence that could topple an entire kingdom. The arrest of Cosby sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, but that was just the beginning. When the Department of Justice opened the first archive named the Warner Archive, the world witnessed a shocking leak. It all started with a memorandum dated June 18, 2025, just 48 hours before Malcolm's death, marked as internal security. Title: Crisis Control. The situation with Warner escalates. Inside is a detailed plan to ruin Malcolm's reputation before he has a chance to speak. Then comes the cold statement that leaves Pamela frozen. If control fails, shift to tragedy. The ocean remains a viable option. This statement is devoid of metaphor or poetic nuance. It is a murder order disguised in the dry language of corporate strategy, and that is just the beginning. The Warner Archive also contains a plethora of audio evidence, dozens of calls, secret meetings, late-night recordings. Among them, Malcolm inadvertently captured the final pieces of the puzzle. In one file, the voice of a network director trembles with fear. He is no longer a child. He is smart. He is tracking the enemy's every move. If he releases what he is holding, we will all be in trouble. Another voice interjects, gentle, cold, and decisive. Then make sure he doesn't do that. Then came segment 7. The video completely overwhelmed Pamela. It was a shaky, low-light, grainy, and pixelated recording. But there was no mistaking him. It was Malcolm alone in his home office, his eyes glued to the computer screen, scrolling through files as if each one was heavier than the last. He looked directly into the webcam, exhaling as if the air was too heavy. "I shouldn't be recording this, but if I don't, no one will believe me, not even my mother." This is not just a story about justice, but also a struggle against concealment and deceit. If you find this video interesting and want to know more truths, please like and share it so that everyone can be informed. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next videos. Leave your comments below about your thoughts on this case. Who do you think is hiding the truth? And if you have any related information, please share it so we can uncover all the mysteries together. He held a small recording device, his voice gradually fading into a whisper that sent chills down the spine. "They called me tonight. They said I would risk my life, but what am I supposed to do? Remain silent. Just let them win." Then 3 rapid knocks echoed. Malcolm froze. His eyes darted quickly to the screen. Then he reached out to turn off the camera. The screen went pitch black. Later, Pamela recounted that it was the last time she saw her son alive. When that clip was released online, it not only became a trend, but also went viral. The outrage, sorrow, shock, and a painful realization that no one truly sees the burden Malcolm is carrying. Behind every smile on the red carpet is a man being hunted right before our eyes. In just 2 days, justice for Malcolm has spread across 10 million posts, turning into a wave of outrage. Protests erupted from Los Angeles to New York, from Atlanta to Toronto. Sunset Boulevard was spray-painted with huge blood-red letters, "He didn't drown." He was silenced. Just one night later, murals began to bloom across the city walls. Malcolm's face was immortalized alongside the words, "They erased him. We still remember." Celebrities who once remained silent are now suddenly speaking out. A sitcom co-star wrote online, "He told me that something big was about to happen. I didn't listen. I should have listened." Another former co-star went live, tears streaming down his face. He tried to warn us that he really did do it. Meanwhile, the Department of Justice continues its investigation, and what they uncover next makes everything before seem trivial. A file appears with a chilling title that sends shivers down the spine of the entire nation, the Silence Machine version 2.0. Inside is a 32-page user manual, a blueprint for completely erasing a person without ever touching them. Step by step, it outlines the process, planting a fake scandal, whispering rumors about mental health, flooding the news with 8 distracting stories to bury the truth, blocking all FOIA requests, greasing the palms of local police, and paying off settlements to keep survivors silent. This is not a story about one person protecting Bill Cosby. This is a machine of industrial erasure, powered by the money of ruthless lawyers, reinforced by extreme fear, and Malcolm has torn it apart. He has outlined every tiny detail. He was ready to crush everything to dust, but someone stopped him. Then the second leak occurred, and this time it did not come from the Department of Justice. It came from within one of the networks that Malcolm had named in his records, receiving a simple package with no markings. No name, no return address. Inside, there was only a hard drive, and on it a single file stamped with a name sounding like a buried confession. What Pamela discovered inside caused her pain once again. A chain of emails, rough notes, and a cold risk assessment report from Cosby's former PR company. The documents were clearly presented and meticulously calculated, making them even more dangerous. If Warner were to publish, they would need to activate the mitigation plan, monitor all activities when the information withdrawal fails, and have a backup plan ready. It was an indirect warning, a subtle yet deadly implication in the meeting room. Pamela sat there reading it over and over 17 times, her hands tightly gripping her son's old sweatshirt, quietly whispering and crying. They had prepared thoroughly for everything. Oh my God, they had anticipated every detail. At the trial, Cosby's team of lawyers tried to deny it, claiming it was a failed PR stunt. They asserted that the documents were fake, that hackers had set a trap, and accused it of being just a smear campaign by a heartbroken mother seeking attention. But then the recording was suddenly cut off. Malcolm had recorded it without realizing the microphone was still on. You can hear the unsteady footsteps, the heavy breathing, and then a deep, hoarse voice speaks up. He says, "I have a choice to remain silent to live, or to speak out to live better. We are here." A bitter laugh passes through. "I am no longer afraid. I am just tired. But I will not let them silence me." Then everything stops. Pamela posts the clip online with a choked caption, "My son did not drown. He was drowned by silence, by money, and by cruel forces." The reaction surged rapidly, like a match struck in a room filled with gasoline. The entire country seemed locked in a storm of outrage. Senators immediately called for Congress to conduct a comprehensive investigation. The wall of secrecy no longer surrounded only Cosby. The machinery that had protected him for decades was gradually collapsing. A special prosecutor was appointed. Media outlets quickly jumped in, investigating every nook and cranny. Federal prosecutors confirmed that Cosby's arrest was just the beginning of a much larger purge. Pamela's song has not yet stopped. She still holds one last card, which is Malcolm's letter. "If you are reading these lines, I may no longer be here. But that's okay. I know you will fight. The truth will live on after me. I love you. Don't let them erase you." The letter has always been kept by Pamela as a sacred treasure. The paper is wrinkled, yellowed, and frayed after being folded and unfolded many times, but its power has not diminished even for a moment. In a world once dominated by Cosby on television, now his criminal image is what is widely circulated. He is no longer the father of America, but prisoner number 6, locked in a cell staring at a wall filled with guilt and a truth that is far more terrifying. The truth he has painstakingly concealed for decades beneath a facade of power and silence. Malcolm did not live to see this day, but every document, video, and piece of evidence he left behind has shed light on everything. In the end, he is not just an admired actor, but a whistleblower, someone who dares to look straight into the darkness without blinking. The mother who gave birth to him has now become the voice he cannot express. This is not merely a scandal. It is a revolution, the first crack in the foundation of the entire silent industry. Evidence shows that you can kill the messenger, but you can never kill the message. The courtroom that day was not quiet. It was stifling, making every breath feel stolen. A silence that does not make a sound is enough to resonate. Bill Cosby sat at the defense table, his face and shoulders stiff, surrounded by a team of lawyers who no longer appeared invulnerable. Their confidence had vanished, leaving only fear. On the opposite side, Pamela Warner stood tall as steel, her hand tightly gripping the neatly folded letter left by her son. Her hand was steady and unwavering. Her gaze was resolute, not blinking at all. This was not merely a trial. It was the day of the final verdict. Cameras outside waited, though they were not allowed inside, but the truth is not always concealed. One by one, witnesses stepped up from former assistants and film company editors to retired executives. Their testimonies painted the same dark picture. We were silenced. We were paid to forget. A man appeared, a former bodyguard of Cosby. His voice trembled, words sharp as a knife cutting through the air. I was tasked with monitoring Malcolm, not to protect him, but to track him. At first, I didn't understand, but on the day he died, I received a call. "Stop. It's over." The sound of gasping echoed throughout the courtroom. Even the judge was taken aback. Cosby remained silent, his cold mask unbroken. Now, all the fears that Malcolm once concealed are being exposed to the whole world, unable to be buried any longer. Outside, the candlelight shines brightly on the streets. Malcolm's image stretches across the sidewalk. Protest signs flutter in the cold air. Some people are crying, others stand in silence, a different kind of silence, the final silence that carries meaning. On social media, millions are following the live news. The hashtag Justice for Malcolm is quickly spreading. Signs that he is not drowning, signs that the machine is shaking. No one knows what will happen next. Pamela still holds one last weapon, a second hard drive. She hasn't handed it over to the courts or the press. She keeps it for herself. This is not just a list of names. The entire system is exposed: surveillance footage, transcripts of every word from closed meetings, contracts signed between media networks and law enforcement agencies, classified documents marked not for disclosure, for internal circulation only. At the center of it all is a blueprint that makes her tremble: 2 words: Echo Protocol. This is the ultimate insurance policy of the system, a digital switch that can erase the reputation of anyone accused while permanently eliminating those who dare to reveal secrets. Malcolm has exposed every detail. Now the whole world is about to witness everything. Every risk he endured, every piece of evidence he left behind, not for himself, but for his mother. Pamela did not back down. She did not filter, did not edit. She uploaded all the data straight to the public without warning, without negotiation, without fear. The internet not only exploded but also nearly collapsed. Live news broadcasts were abruptly interrupted. Powerful lawyers refused to comment. Industry giants quietly resigned in the dead of night. Major television networks stopped broadcasting without explanation. Then a series of names fell one after another. Careers ended overnight. Assets vanished. But the biggest shock, which shook the entire industry, was the downfall of the person who started it all. 3 weeks after being arrested, Bill Cosby was officially charged. Conspiracy, obstructing justice, and aiding crime. The media is trying to change the narrative. Some call this an unprecedented case, while others cling to the term accused as a lifeline. But the truth is etched in Malcolm's words, in the records he left behind, and in the undying flame that Pamela is determined not to extinguish. Pamela never wanted fame, never craved the spotlight. But now, she has become an unforgettable symbol. Only once did she speak to a reporter holding Malcolm's photo tightly against her chest. She said, "They want to silence him, but all it does is make him speak louder." Then she turned and walked away. No applause, no press conference, only the truth exists. From that moment, Malcolm's legacy began to rise from the ashes. Universities established archives in his name. Advocacy groups were formed centering around his story. Across cities and continents, walls were covered with images of him. Each mural is a bold reminder of the man who refused to close his eyes to the darkness, even at the cost of losing everything. This time, no one can erase him. A vibrant mural featuring his face, surrounded by painted flames with words like armor wrapped around it. They can kill the messenger, but they cannot kill the message. A street in his hometown is now named Warner Way. The document, once labeled Shadow Network, has become required reading in law schools, known as the case that shattered Hollywood's Gilded Wall. The most powerful moment comes from a final video. Malcolm's last words, secretly recorded, were meant only for his mother until she decided the whole world deserved to hear them. The video was never released, never touched, hidden deep in the second hard drive under the simple name finalfoul.mpp4. Pamela didn't open it right away. She waited until the headlines faded as justice began to take root in the cracks of the system. Then one quiet night alone in the living room, she lit a candle and pressed play. Malcolm appeared on the screen, tired but calm. The fear that once haunted his eyes had now vanished. He smiled once. "Hey, Mom, if you're watching this, I guess it's all over. Or maybe it's just beginning." He paused, took a deep breath. "I'm not doing this to be a hero. I'm doing it because someone has to. Mom always told me to speak up at the most important moments. Well, this is that moment." He leaned in, looking straight into the camera. "They're trying to drown me in silence, but I have my mom, and I know she will see this through to the end." His voice choked at the end. "I love you, Mom. I'm sorry, but thank you for being the loudest voice I've ever known." The video ended. Pamela didn't cry. She closed the laptop, kissed the worn letter, and whispered under the candlelight, "My mother's image has never been erased." Mother has been etched into history. Now the world remembers Malcolm not just as a star, but as a man who would not let darkness prevail. His name is painted on the wall, recorded in court documents, echoing in classrooms. Malcolm lives on not as a victim, but as a symbol, a vivid reminder that the truth, no matter how deeply buried, will always find its way to the surface. And when the truth is revealed, it has the power to scorch the world. Bill Cosby remains behind bars, but the true victory is not his arrest. It is a change, an awakening, a breaking down of the fortress, something that has allowed him and many others to live peacefully for decades. That machine has not only cracked, it has shattered thanks to the courage of a son and the determination of a mother to prevent his name from fading into darkness. And make no mistake, this is not the end. This is a warning to all the predators lurking behind confidential contracts. To the executives who exchange silence for profit, to the machines driven by fear and concealment, your time is up. The silence is over. The deafening message is that Malcolm left behind not just a scandal. He left a map, a plan to dismantle the system that tried to erase him. Now the world is watching his every move. If you are following this story, you know this is not just a headline. It is the cry rising from the grave, refusing to be silenced. Malcolm-Jamal Warner did not die in silence. He died because of silence, because he dared to speak the truth that others only whispered, because he refused to play their game. Now his voice echoes everywhere, on the streets, in the newspapers, on the vibrant murals. The man once called America's dad is now locked in a cell, unmasked, forced to confront the truth he has hidden his entire life. The arrest of Bill Cosby, along with the mysteries surrounding Malcolm's death, is not merely a legal story or an entertainment scandal. It is a complex picture of power concealment and dark conspiracies that few dare to expose. Pamela Warner has bravely stepped up, tirelessly investigating and presenting evidence and testimonies that make us reflect on a world where the truth is sometimes distorted, hidden beneath layers of false facades. But can the truth be brought to light? Can justice prevail against silent forces? "We were devastated," she said, without embellishment or exaggeration. But what shocked everyone was what she shared next. Malcolm's death was not a simple drowning accident, as many people thought. At the age of 54, he was found lifeless by his familiar waterfront. No serious illness, no obvious warning signs. Everything happened so suddenly, so silently, that family and friends could not understand. Fans flooded social media with tearful tributes. Co-stars, colleagues, and the rest of the entertainment industry shared their memories and grief. But for those who knew Malcolm, especially Pamela, it wasn't enough to bring closure. She couldn't accept that his passing was accidental. Her statement wasn't one of anger, but of grief in action. It was the voice of a mother trying to hold on to her child's last light. Pamela recalled Malcolm's childhood, his early acting days, and how he had remained a gentle, humble person despite the Hollywood glamour that could easily change a person. But she also stressed one thing. Her son was not depressed, he did not use drugs, and he showed no signs of emotional turmoil. This was not a sad story with a predictable ending. She wanted the world to know that. As her voice cracked with emotion, she began to express her doubts. How could someone as healthy, vibrant, and alive as Malcolm have drowned? And why in a place he had no connections to? The house where the incident occurred was a high-end Beverly Hills mansion, believed to belong to an entertainment executive who had remained eerily silent since Malcolm's death. There was no evidence that Malcolm had been invited there. No witnesses, no security cameras, unusual for such a high-end property. Although the police ruled it a simple drowning, Pamela was skeptical, and more people were starting to doubt it. She shared that the leaked autopsy report showed some small but unusual bruises. They were on the back of the head and left shoulder, not places consistent with a simple fall into the water. Experts in the field, both medical and media, began to speak out. Reporters who had covered dozens of celebrity deaths said, "Something is wrong here." A healthy man about to release the most passionate project of his career, suddenly and tragically dead, Malcolm had just signed a new contract for a TV series about redemption healing and family, something he had been passionate about and had been waiting for years. No one believed that someone at the height of her creativity and with a clear plan for the future would just disappear like that. And now, Pamela Warner's voice was not just a mother's voice, it was a wake-up call that made the world stop and wonder what is the truth. Malcolm had planned a surprise trip for his mother's birthday with a clear and meticulous itinerary. His life was on track, steady, focused, and hopeful. But a short text message changed everything. Sent to a close friend just before he died, the chilling message read, "Not sure why I'm here. Something's not right." What had once been pure grief was now doubt. Why was Malcolm in a place where he felt uneasy? If you've ever seen Malcolm-Jamal Warner on The Cosby Show or in his later roles, what did you find most inspiring about him? Give him a 2 for his sincerity and simplicity, or a 5 for his artistic talent and emotional depth. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on the next touching stories. The question spread throughout the fan community, creating a wave of debate and suspicion. Had he been lured there? Was there someone behind it? Hashtags calling for justice began to appear, and online forums dissected every detail, every line of the report, and every related image. Unable to sit still, Pamela hired a well-known private investigator who had investigated many cases involving celebrities. A relative of hers, James, posted a video questioning the authorities, claiming the case had been handled too superficially. The atmosphere around Malcolm's death had changed, no longer a funeral, but the beginning of a search for the truth. Former co-stars have also begun to speak out cautiously. Tempest Bledsoe has said Malcolm was family and deserved to know the truth. Kashia Knight Pulliam has shared her discomfort with the unexplained. Lisa Bonet, who has always been private, has also broken her silence. She recalls the invisible pressure Malcolm felt as a teenager to be a role model for America while remaining true to himself in a cutthroat industry. The testimonies only deepen the question, was Malcolm's death an accident, or was there more to it? Then came an even more haunting development. A voicemail message allegedly left by Malcolm the night before his death revealed that he was facing something bigger than anything we realized. Friends confirmed that he was developing a series of films that would expose the dark side of the entertainment industry, tackling topics like systemic racism, exploitation of child actors, and internal silencing tactics. It was a bold project, one that would have made many powerful people uncomfortable. His sudden death raised more than a few questions. Was he silenced? Notably, security footage from the home where he died no longer exists. Investigators believe there was a mechanical problem. Neighbors gave conflicting accounts. Some said they saw Malcolm on the shore. Others heard screams before the siren sounded. One person claimed to have seen someone fleeing the property, but there were no suspects, no surveillance, just silence. Even Malcolm's manager posted a quickly deleted cryptic post suggesting he was careful, cautious, and never took unnecessary risks. That single post quickly went viral, fueling a growing conspiracy theory. Online communities linked the case to the mysterious deaths of actors who had reported abuse in the industry. Pamela shrugged off the rumors, but refused to accept the official story, demanding a review of security footage and a second autopsy. The Los Angeles Police Department remained vague, using phrases like pending review and not suspected of murder. The hesitation only deepened public distrust. Amid it all, the Warner family refused to stay silent. Pamela's words at a local vigil spoke to the heart of their fight. "They tried to bury the truth about my son with his body. I won't let that happen." The crowd responded with thunderous applause, and around the world people began to listen more closely. Even Malcolm's former co-stars began to reflect more honestly. Felicia Rashad posted a heartfelt tribute, but was met with questions. Why hadn't the cast reunited more over the years? Why had Malcolm seemed so distant in his final months? Raven Simonet admitted they had all lost touch. Lisa Bonet alludes to the stress and emotional toll Malcolm has been carrying since he was a teenager. She describes the weight of being America's favorite son while trying to navigate a reality that isn't always kind. Then comes an even more haunting twist. Malcolm's voicemail, allegedly left the night before he died, hints at something bigger, something he says is bigger than anything we realize. Friends confirm that Malcolm has been working on a new project, a series that exposes the dark side of the entertainment industry. Malcolm's project tackled racism, child exploitation, and silencing tactics in the entertainment industry, sensitive topics that could easily cause trouble. His sudden death led many to suspect that he had been silenced before speaking out. Notably, security footage from the house suddenly disappeared for technical reasons. Neighbors told conflicting stories. Some saw Malcolm on the shore, heard screams, and even saw people running away. However, no suspects or traces of surveillance were found. Malcolm's manager's cryptic post was quickly deleted, adding to the suspicion. Malcolm's manager's single post went viral, sparking conspiracy theories about his death. Online communities compared the case to the mysterious deaths of other actors who have reported abuse in the entertainment industry. Pamela did not believe the official story and demanded to see security footage and a second autopsy. The Los Angeles Police Department remained opaque and did not confirm a homicide. The Warner family refused to stay silent with Pamela, vowing not to let the truth be buried. Malcolm's former co-stars also began to speak out, with Felicia Rashad sharing tributes but also being questioned for the cast's distance. Raven-Simonet admitted that they had lost touch, while Lisa Bonet spoke about the stress Malcolm endured as a child. Bill Cosby sent his condolences through a representative from prison, but this was controversial because Malcolm had always kept his distance. The tension between past and present added to the suspicions surrounding Malcolm's death. People began to question the unresolved emotions within him. Jeffrey Owens revealed that Malcolm was a man who always quietly cared for and helped his friends without expecting anything in return. His death was not simply a tragedy, but a series of events full of suspicion and psychological pressure. The strange and contradictory details make people unable to stop asking questions. Malcolm was a quiet man but full of inner strength. His departure left a void that is difficult to fill in the hearts of his relatives and fans. Malcolm's haunting voicemails and unfinished projects paint a complex picture of warning signs. The Warner family is leading the fight for transparency and justice for Malcolm, their pain becoming the impetus to expose truth and accountability in the entertainment industry. This is not just a son's story, but a fight against silence and injustice. Pamela Warner is determined not to let her son's story end with unanswered questions. To the world, Malcolm-Jamal Warner was a name no one could mistake. He was a part of millions of childhoods as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, bringing laughter, empathy, and the image of a genuine teenager to life. But he didn't stop there. Malcolm went on to prove his talent in many fields: a sharp-witted poet, a soulful musician, and a calm, grounded man who carved out his own path in the ever-turbulent entertainment industry. But to Pamela, he wasn't a star. He was simply my son. The first child to ever call her mom, the one who kept her up at night, waiting for news after auditions, the young man who never forgot to call and ask Mom, "Have you eaten today?" He was the greatest pride of her life. On July 20th, while on a family vacation in Costa Rica, Malcolm, his wife, and friends decided to go swimming at a deserted beach. According to those present, he had been laughing, joking, and having fun just minutes before. But then, an undercurrent suddenly emerged. Strong, silent, and cruel. Despite rescue efforts and resuscitation, Malcolm could not be saved. It was an unexpected death, an unbearable shock. All the more heartbreaking because he had invited his mother to come on this trip and Pamela had declined. "I want to stay home and rest," she said that day. No one expected it to be the last time they spoke. The night before he died, Malcolm called. He told his mother about the sea, about the peace, about the seemingly limitless sky. His voice was full of excitement, like a child who had found a place to belong. "I love you, Mom," he said before hanging up. News of Malcolm's death spread quickly. Headlines flooded social media, newspapers, and television. Fans everywhere, from those who had seen him on the small screen to those who had heard his poetry, were silent, mourning the loss of a cultural icon. But amid the funerals, condolences, and wreaths, only one person lost everything: Pamela. Her little boy. Not the famous one, but the little boy who took his first steps in the old kitchen. The one who asked his mother, "If I weren't famous, would you still love me?" She remembers hugging him tightly and saying, "I love you because you are my son," for nothing else. Now, every minute, Pamela faced an unnameable pain. She kept Malcolm's room the same, unchanged. Every morning she sat in silence, as if she listened carefully enough, she could hear his footsteps, his laughter echoing through the house. She didn't cry too much. The pain was too great to shed tears. Malcolm-Jamal Warner is more than just a celebrity. He is a testament to a generation of black artists who overcame prejudice and built their own image through talent and character. He lives with gratitude, with love for art and family. To his mother, he was always the warmest light in the long night. Not a day goes by that she doesn't miss him. But not a day goes by that she doesn't feel proud to have been the mother of Malcolm. A son who lived fully, loved fully, and left like the wind, gentle, unexpected, and left a void that nothing could fill. She raised him as a single mother in New Jersey, juggling work and responsibility, but always making sure her son was fed, educated, and most of all loved. When he rose to fame as Theo on The Cosby Show, Pamela remained his guiding light, reminding him to stay grounded, disciplined, and humble in the whirlwind of fame. She was present at every taping, whispering encouragement from the sidelines, and standing guard against the dangers that are so common in the entertainment industry. At every milestone in his career, Malcolm has credited his mother. "I wouldn't be where I am today without her," he once told a reporter. "She not only nurtured me, but believed in me when I doubted myself." Pamela is proud of that, not because of the spotlight, but because of who her son has become. A man who remains kind, thoughtful, creative, and loving, despite being torn apart by a world that sometimes tears him apart. When Malcolm's body was flown back from Costa Rica, Pamela was at the private airport, silent, her heart broken beyond repair. She placed her hand gently on the coffin and whispered, "It's me, baby. I'll always be with you." The feeling had finally come, but her strength, the same strength that had helped them through so many trials over the years, did not collapse. She decided not to present her grief as a public spectacle, no social media posts or dramatic interviews. Instead, she would honor Malcolm the way he lived his life, with silence, purpose, and soul. She did, however, agree to speak once in a letter. The room fell silent as the letter was read. "My child, from the moment I first held you in my arms, I knew the world had changed. You are light. You are music. You are more than I ever dreamed a child could be. You made me laugh. You made me grow. And you made me believe in love again after I had given up. You swam too far this time, baby, and I am not here to pull you back. But I know wherever you are now, you are at peace. You will always love the ocean." Maybe now you are a part of it. Thank you for being my son. Thank you for choosing me. I will carry your spirit with me every step of the way until the day I can hold you again. The audience was overcome with emotion as the final words rang out in the church. Some remembered Malcolm as a co-star, others as a creative collaborator, but all remembered him as a deeply loved son who will be forever missed. Pamela wore a simple black dress with a gold clef brooch on her collar. It was a tribute to Malcolm's love of music. She carried an old photo of him in her pocket. Malcolm, as a little boy, sat on his mother's lap, smiling. "That's the image I see when I close my eyes," she later said. Not the actor, not the musician, just my little boy who sang me to sleep. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's death was sudden, tragic, and too soon. But in the quiet corners of Pamela Warner's life, his spirit remains a reminder of the bond between mother and child, a bond that is never washed away by the ocean, never washed away by the tide, and never washed away by death. How do you feel about this sacred bond? If so, leave a 2 in the comments. If not, leave a 5. Don't forget to enjoy the video and subscribe to support the channel so I can continue sharing meaningful stories. When Malcolm first rose to fame as Theo on The Cosby Show, Pamela refused to let the fame overwhelm her son. She was there for every taping, not to control him, but to stand quietly behind the scenes whispering encouragement when he was shaking gently, reminding him when he forgot why he started. "Keep yourself humble, keep your heart pure," she once said. In a world of entertainment where the spotlight can be blinding to young people, Pamela is a beacon. Malcolm grew up surrounded by directors and producers, but always turned to the only person he calls an expert on the human heart, his mother. Unlike many stars who forget their first partner, Malcolm has never been shy about expressing his gratitude. "I wouldn't be where I am today without her," he said in a 2017 interview. "She not only raised me, but she believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself. She saw the light in me before I knew it." Pamela did not live for her son's fame. She did not need the limelight. Her pride came from watching him become a man, not perfect, but good, not loved, but loved, and that to her was enough. Amidst the sound of the waves, amidst the silence of her remaining life, Pamela would still hear her son's laughter, echoing from somewhere where the light never goes out. Pamela always made sure Malcolm remained connected to his roots and community, teaching him to value relationships and loyalty. Malcolm's close relationship with his daughter was a continuation of this family spirit, and Pamela played an active role in nurturing that bond. Throughout his life, Malcolm faced the challenges of growing up in the spotlight, but Pamela's presence was always a steadying presence. When Malcolm struggles with the pressures of being boxed into a certain role, or feels the need to reinvent himself beyond the image of Theo Huxtable, Pamela is there to offer support and advice. She encourages him to fearlessly pursue his passions and embrace his true self beyond the expectations placed on him by the industry and the public. Their relationship was also marked by moments of vulnerability and candor. Pamela and Malcolm shared honest conversations about the ups and downs of life, the burdens of fame, and the search for personal fulfillment. It was this openness that helped them maintain a connection based not just on admiration, but on genuine understanding and empathy. As Malcolm grew up, their relationship evolved. Pamela was proud to see her son become a thoughtful and compassionate man and artist. Their bond remained strong, grounded in respect and love. Even as Malcolm started a family of his own, Pamela remained a central figure, supporting him as a mother, offering advice and celebrating the joys in his daughter's life. When tragedy struck and Malcolm died while on a family vacation in Costa Rica, Pamela's loss was immeasurable. Her grief was profound and heartbreaking. She had lost not only her son, but also her best friend, her soulmate, and her greatest source of pride and joy. The deep love they shared remained a beacon of light even in the darkest of times, a testament to the unbreakable bond they had forged over decades. Since Malcolm's death, Pamela has honored his memory through private mourning and public tributes, keeping his spirit alive through stories, music, and a foundation focused on arts, education, and health. The love between mother and son transcends life and death, an eternal bond woven through their shared history and Malcolm's legacy. In every way, the relationship between Pamela Warner and Malcolm-Jamal Warner is a picture of unconditional love strength through adversity and devotion. It is a relationship that shaped an incredible life, fueled a brilliant career, and left a lasting impression on all who knew them. Their story is one of the most beautiful examples of a mother's love and a son's gratitude. A testament to the strength of family even in the midst of fame and fortune. The sudden death of Malcolm-Jamal Warner sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and to fans around the world. The beloved actor, musician, and entertainer, best known for his role as Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, passed away suddenly while vacationing in Costa Rica, leaving a huge void that is deeply felt across Hollywood and around the world. As tributes poured in from stars, colleagues, and longtime friends, the overwhelming feeling was one of deep loss mixed with admiration for a life that touched so many. Actors who had worked with Malcolm expressed disbelief and profound sadness, often reflecting on the warmth and professionalism he brought to every project. Kashia Knight Pulliam, who played Rudy Huxtable alongside Malcolm, shared a heartfelt message on social media. Malcolm wasn't just a co-star. He was family. His warmth, humor, and extraordinary talent lit up every room. The world has lost a true gem. Her words echoed the sentiments of many who knew him, a man who, no matter how famous he became, remained humble and approachable. Bill Cosby, who helped launch Malcolm's career through his show, issued a brief statement of condolence. Malcolm was a talented young man with a bright future. His work inspired many, and his legacy will live on. While Cosby's message was short and formal, others expressed a much deeper reverence when speaking about Malcolm's impact beyond the screen. Colleagues from the days of The Cosby Show remembered Malcolm as a thoughtful man who always remained calm and never let fame change who he was. Tempest Bledsoe, who played Vanessa Huxtable, recalled in an interview Malcolm was always the big brother to all of us. He always made us laugh and reminded us why we were there to tell meaningful stories. These reflections spoke to the deep respect that friends and colleagues held for Malcolm, not just as an artist, but as a person. Musicians who had collaborated with him or admired his work also shared their thoughts, highlighting his passion for jazz and poetry. Renowned jazz artist Esperanza Spalding tweeted Malcolm's soul was steeped in music and poetry. His art was as deep as his heart. Rest easy, my friend. Others spoke about Malcolm's commitment to using art as a tool for healing and self-expression, emphasizing his dedication to mentoring young artists and raising awareness about mental health. Directors and producers who had worked with Malcolm praised his range and professionalism. A longtime collaborator remarked Malcolm was one of those rare talents who could effortlessly move between acting, directing, and music. He brought intellect and heart to everything he touched. Many in the industry expressed sorrow over the sudden loss of such a multifaceted talent gone too soon. Social media quickly became a space for remembrance, with fans from around the world sharing memories of watching Malcolm grow up on television and admiring his later work. Hashtags like Chuck Remembering Malcolm and Chuck or Malcolm-Jamal Warner trended for days, featuring clips of his performances, quotes from interviews, and photos spanning his career. Fans praised not only his acting talent, but also his integrity, kindness, and dedication to his craft. Public figures outside the entertainment world also expressed their sorrow. Activists and public personalities highlighted Malcolm's advocacy work and the positive influence he had on younger generations. Actress and activist Janelle Monáe said Malcolm was a trailblazer and a role model. His life reminds us to live with purpose and passion. Tributes like these underscored the far-reaching impact Malcolm had, not just through his roles on screen, but in real life as well. Comedy legends who had crossed paths with Malcolm in the past remembered him fondly. Eddie Murphy, who inspired many young actors in Malcolm's generation, shared a heartfelt message. "I'm truly saddened to hear about Malcolm's passing. He was a professional and a good man. My prayers are with his family." Others in the comedy community echoed this sense of loss, emphasizing the warmth and joy Malcolm brought to those around him. Among the younger generation of actors and musicians, Malcolm was often cited as a quiet, yet powerful influence. Rising stars shared how his career demonstrated the importance of authenticity and perseverance. One young actress wrote, "Malcolm-Jamal Warner taught me that it's okay to be multi-talented and to follow your own path. He will be deeply missed." His legacy as a mentor and role model continues to resonate across generations and artistic fields. Many public figures also spoke of Malcolm's role as a devoted father, husband, and son. Oprah Winfrey, in a special tribute dedicated to Malcolm, praised his commitment to his family and his efforts to balance public life with private love. Malcolm showed all of us how to be present, how to love fiercely, and how to give back to the community, Oprah said. This human-centered perspective reminds us that behind the public figure was a man deeply connected to those who loved him. Numerous award shows and events within the entertainment industry held moments of silence in his memory. Tributes were woven into ceremonies with hosts recounting his contributions to television and music. The Screen Actors Guild and other professional organizations released official statements praising Malcolm's professionalism and talent. In Hollywood, memorials and gatherings were held in intimate circles where colleagues and friends could share stories and celebrate Malcolm's life together. It's clear that while he spent much of his career in the spotlight, he remained a treasured friend and mentor behind the scenes. Many attendees spoke about his generosity, calm presence, and ability to inspire those around him. Internationally, Malcolm's passing was also mourned. Fans across Europe, Africa, and around the world shared their sorrow, emphasizing how his work transcended cultural and geographic boundaries. The image of Theo Huxtable, as portrayed by Malcolm, became a symbol of positive representation on television for many communities across the globe. As the days turned into weeks, tributes and expressions of respect for Malcolm-Jamal Warner continued. His impact extended far beyond his roles it lived on through the example he set in life, his devotion to family, his passion for the arts, and his commitment to lifting others up. The reactions from fellow celebrities, heartfelt and profound, painted a portrait of a man admired not only for his talent, but also for his character and integrity. In the wake of this loss, many have called for initiatives to honor Malcolm's memory through scholarships and arts programs, reflecting a desire to preserve his legacy by supporting future generations of artists. Friends and collaborators announced plans to establish charitable foundations in his name to continue his work of fostering creativity and community connection. The outpouring of remembrance from the community showed just how deeply loved Malcolm was an artist who touched countless lives with grace, humor, and kindness. His sudden passing left a tremendous void, but the stories, tributes, and memories shared by those who knew and admired him ensure that his spirit will live on, inspiring generations to come. Do you have a memory or story about Malcolm you'd like to share? Leave a comment below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. It helps me keep creating meaningful content.